Does Ole Miss finally get it done? Welcome into the Voice of College Football. Best discussion, debate, and analysis right here. My name is Mark Rogers, the Voice of College Football. Please like and subscribe. Here we go on the Rebels. 2 years ago, they beat Penn State in a bowl game to finish 11-2, but did not make the playoff. We moved to 12 teams in the playoff, and Ole Miss should have made it, but they tripped up against inferior foes, most notably a 4-8 Kentucky team. So despite an 18-point win against Georgia, a dominant performance in that one, and then going on the road, defeating a South Carolina team that, of course, was one of the hottest teams in college football down the stretch, beat the Gamecocks by 3 touchdowns. Ole Miss left out of the playoffs at 9-3, eventually 10-3 after bowl win against Duke. Consider these superlatives. This was the number 3 scoring offense in the nation, the number 2 scoring defense in the nation. Just put those two stats together, and that should equal a playoff performance, not 3 losses. Jackson Dart, their quarterback, of course, became a first-round pick in the NFL draft by the New York Giants after becoming the all-time passing leader at Ole Miss, and they had the number 1 transfer portal class. Still could make the playoff because of a late-season loss against Florida, or take your pick. Led LSU every play of the game except for the final play and lost in overtime in Baton Rouge. All right, let's get to the 2025 Rebels because it's a revamped bunch, but probably just as talented. Austin Simmons has been waiting in the wings. Speaking of talent, he's a good one. And when thrust into action against Georgia, Jackson Dart knocked out of the game. Georgia took a 7-0 lead. Pressure on Simmons to deliver. And he took the reps right down the field, 75 yards, 5 of 6 passing. Now, that was impressive. And then Dart came back into the game and led the Rebels to a 28-10 win. But let's not blow this out of proportion. It was impressive in the moment. 6 pass attempts against Georgia. Let's not go crazy here. Austin Simmons may still have some growing up to do. So much skill talent has been lost from this team. 18 total starters gone. Wide receiver Caden Lee comes back. 57 receptions, 2 touchdowns, and a couple transfers at the wideout position in Dejon Stribling, one of the best at Washington State and Oklahoma State, 2,100 yards plus 17 touchdowns in his career. Trey Wallace at Penn State, 46 grabs, 4 touchdowns. The running back position, not heavy on production here. Logan Diggs has been at some big-time programs and expected to become the guy at Notre Dame and LSU, has yet to do that, was injured much of last season. Kawan Lacey comes in from Mizzou, again, just 100 yards in his time with the Tigers in 2024. The offensive line for Ole Miss may be the reason they did not make the playoff. It was marginal, to be kind, and they lost 4 starters. They bring in Patrick Kutas, a quality player from Arkansas. Now let's look at the defense and more superlatives. On the surface here, we mentioned number 2 in scoring defense. The nation's leader in tackles for loss, 120, and sacks per game. However, they lose 5 of the top 6 guys in those categories. Suntaran Perkins comes back, though, 10.5 sacks, 14 TFLs. So much lost up front. J.J. Piquet, of course, who doubled as a fullback and partial wide receiver and wowed the scouts as a big guy, 400 pounds, who could run routes, 7 touchdowns. But, of course, his primary role on the defensive front, clogging up the run game of the opposition. He's gone, as long as the multi-talented Walter Nolan and a bunch of guys up front. Now the Rebels will field their latest addition of Prince Unmanmielen. It's the brother this time. So there's Princely and Princewell. They got Princewell. Much expected of him, but let's not confuse him with his brother. 7 tackles for loss in 2 seasons at Nebraska, so yet to be proven as a playmaker. All right, they pick up a nice place kicker in Lucas Canero from Western Kentucky, 18 of 19 through the uprights last season. Let's look at the schedule. Washington State is the big game, much like 2024 when Ole Miss completely ran through Wake Forest. So no big non-conference opponent. In conference, remember the SEC is playing the same teams against the same teams this year, just flipping home and road. So Ole Miss needs to hold serve. Unlike last year when they lost to Kentucky 20-17 late, They've got Kentucky and Arkansas at home, hold serve early. Then they've got a difficult October-November stretch with Georgia on the road, Oklahoma on the road, then South Carolina, all those 3 games in a row. This team is not as good, at least not as experienced, combining the production, the experience, the talent all put together, and I do not expect them to be as good. But again, they narrowly missed the playoffs last year. They're going to finish with the same record at 9-3, 5-3 in the SEC for Ole Miss. Leave your comments and questions down below. Please like and subscribe right here at the Voice of College Football.